Are you in search of what makes the blessed? Have certain things been consistent with your life and you desire to know if it's applicable with the blessed? Do you want to know what shows that a person's life is blessed by God? Do you wonder what signs would reveal that prosperity is coming your way? Have you been faithful and want to know what herald or show that blessing is coming to one's life? We would examine some of the signs that blessing and prosperity are coming your way. It is important to note that blessing and prosperity come from the Lord. When you see a person blessed and the blessing lasts, it should be known that such a person is blessed by the Lord. The blessing that God gives endures times. It doesn't bring pain. Proverbs 10, verse 22. The blessing of the Lord brings true riches, and He adds no sorrow to it, for it comes as a blessing from God. Another thing consistent with the manner of God's blessing is that it follows through a process. God is a God of principle and order. Certain things would be noticeable and comparable in the lives of persons that God has blessed. If you study the account of men who were greatly blessed and prospered by God, you would notice that they had a similar experience. This is because the blessing is replicable and the acts of God are reproducible. It is only magic that would not be replicable or redo unable when tried by another person, because it was only made to be practiced by a particular person. But when something is from God, it is not magic. When put to practice, it would produce a similar result. When your life is deficient of those things, it might be a signal that to you that blessings and the prosperity that God gives is not far from your life. Some of the signs that prosperity and blessing are coming your way. 1. Your life is surrounded by favor. The blessing of God doesn't operate or happen in or through a vacuum. Something must be responsible for the blessing to come, and one of such things is favor. One of the signs that a person would be blessed and prospered by God is that life would be full of God's favor. When favor is far from a person's life, it means the blessing of God is far from that person's life too. It is the aura of God's favor that attracts the blessing of God. Jabez knew that his life lacked the favor of God, and he knew that if he continued, the blessing of God would be far from his life, and that was why he cried up to God. It is the favor of God that causes what a person does to be blessed. When a person who carries favor does something, no matter how little that thing is, it would produce a result. But when done by someone not carrying that favor, the result would not be good. When you see your small producing result, know that you have been favored and blessing is on its way to you. Favor is the way of the blessing. It is what would make the little and small things you do produce a result which, when sustained, establishes the blessing and prosperity of God over your life. Now look at what happened next. Genesis 26, verse 12 through 14. Then Isaac planted seed in the land as a farmer and reaped in the same year 100 times as much as he had planted. And the Lord blessed and favored him. 13. And the man Isaac became great and gained more and more until he became very wealthy and extremely distinguished. 14. He owned flocks and herds with a great household with several servants, and the Philistines envied him. He was in a land that famine was ravaging, but Because he was favored by God, in the famine he grew great and mighty and gained numerous things. When you are favored, even if things have not been working, it would work for you because favor has an aura that commands the things to work for your good. It was the favor of God on the lives of the people of Israel that made them amass the wealth and riches of the people of Egypt. When you see favor around your life, be happy and celebrate, because the blessing and prosperity of God are on the way to you. But when your life is devoid of favor and all seems not to be working for you, it is time to lift your voice to heaven so that change can take place in your life. God favored David, and that made him a standout among his brothers and equals. It was the same way also that God blessed Solomon, and he became the richest king in the land of Israel. Seek for the favor of God, and in a short time, blessing and prosperity would be your portion. 2. Doors of nation and people are open for you. Another sign that prosperity and blessing are coming your way is that you begin to notice that doors to other nations or doors for you to meet certain people are open for you. The blessing and prosperity of God comes through a system, and it could be through people or places. When you see certain doors to have access to places open for you, it is a sign that God's blessing is coming your way. Or when you see that certain people coming into your life, it is God that has opened the door for them to come in, because they are the channel of the blessing to your life. Ruth and her mother-in-law came back broken and bitter, but God wanted to bless and prosper Ruth, and he placed and positioned Boaz to be the source of the blessing to her life. In the book of Ruth, we see that account clearly her encounter with Boaz, from picking in his farm to being allowed to work properly for him and finally marrying him, was what changed her life and made her a woman to reckon within the land. It was also the door to the nation of Israel that was open for her, because she was a stranger. But God opened the door of the nation for her and connected her with someone that changed her life around. Ruth 2, verse 1 through 3. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth and influence, from the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. 2. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one of the reapers, in whose sight I may find favor. Naomi said to her, Go, my daughter. 3. So Ruth went and picked up the left of the grain in the field after the reapers, and she happened to stop at the plot of land belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. This is also what happened to Jacob and his son Isaac. Genesis 26, verse 1 through 3. The Lord warned Isaac not to go to the land of Isaac, because he has not opened the land for him, but go to the land where he would show him. And when Isaac obeyed and went to the land God showed him, his road to being wealthy began. In Genesis 28, also the account of Jacob begins. He was sent to Padan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. God opened that nation to him as journeyed. He encountered God on his way, and it marked the turning point in his life. From then, he walked into the blessing and prosperity of God, because the nation was open for him, and a man was set there by God to serve as a channel for the blessing to flow to his life. Are you desirous of the blessing of God? Do you want God to prosper you? You need to keep praying and keep observing His commands. When it has been approved, you would know. You would begin to see favor in your life, and doors or gates of nations and men would be opened for you. Keep trusting and hoping. You are next in line.